I built a six-figure savings account without ever touching the stock market and without ever calling myself a finance expert. I found something better than any investment trick. I found a mindset shift that costs you nothing to learn, but changes everything about how you handle money. Stay with me for the next few minutes because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why some people keep getting richer while others keep starting over from zero. This is not about luck. This is not about a high-paying job. This is about one specific skill that almost nobody is ever taught in school or at home. Most people are taught how to earn money, but almost nobody is taught how to actually hold on to it once it arrives in their account. And I promise you, if you keep watching until the very end, you will never look at your paycheck the same way again. The first lesson is the one that changed my entire financial life. It is called delayed gratification. Most people hear that phrase and think it means being cheap or miserable or never enjoying anything. That is completely wrong. Delayed gratification simply means you choose a bigger reward later instead of a smaller reward right now. That is it. That is the whole secret. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. This skill is the single biggest reason some people build wealth, while other people with the exact same income stay broke their entire life. If you cannot wait for anything, you will never be able to save anything, and you will always feel like your money disappears before you even notice it arriving. The strange part is that once you build this skill, it stops feeling like effort. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. But do not worry, because in the next section, I am going to show you the exact system I use to make this easy instead of painful, a system anyone can copy starting today no matter how much or how little you currently have saved. Here is the system. I set what I call a safety number for myself. This is a specific amount of money I decide I need to have sitting in my account before I allow myself to spend on anything that is not essential. When I hit that number for the first time, I did something powerful. I told myself out loud that I had already succeeded. I let myself feel that win completely before I spent a single cent. This might sound strange, but it rewires how your brain sees money. Once your brain believes you can already have something later, it stops screaming at you to buy it right now. And that single shift is what stops impulse spending before it even starts. It takes away the panic and the fear of missing out because your brain already believes the reward is coming eventually. Keep watching, because the next part explains why most people get this backwards and end up poorer the more money they make, even people who earn far more than the average person. This is the part that shocks people. When someone suddenly has extra cash sitting in their account, the very first instinct is to reward themselves immediately. New bag, new phone, new car. Sometimes even a new house they cannot actually afford. And this is exactly how people who earn good money still end up broke and in debt. They never set a safety number. They let every dollar that comes in become an excuse to spend more. The truth is painful but simple. It is not your income that makes you wealthy. It is what you refuse to spend the moment it hits your account. Two people can earn the exact same salary and end up in two completely different financial worlds 5 years later, simply because one of them learned to pause before spending and the other never did. If you remember only one sentence from this entire video, remember that one, and maybe even pause right now and write it down somewhere. You will actually see it again. Now let me show you how I actually reward myself without wrecking my progress along the way. Here is how I handle rewards the right way. When I hit my first safety number, I allowed myself one meaningful purchase. Nothing extreme, just one thing that felt like a real win. But immediately after that, I raised my target higher. I did not celebrate and then coast. I celebrated and then moved the finish line further away. Each time I wanted something bigger, like a car or a major purchase, I forced myself to hit a much higher number first. And something incredible happens when you do this. By the time you actually reach that higher number, the excitement about buying the thing has completely changed. You start asking yourself smarter questions. Do I actually need this right now? Is this the best use of this money at this stage of my life? That single pause has saved me more money than any budgeting app or spreadsheet ever could, because it forces you to think instead of react. Stick around, because the next lesson is where most people completely fail, even when they understand everything I just said, and it might be the single biggest reason your good intentions never turn into actual results. You can understand delayed gratification perfectly and still end up broke if you do not actually execute it. Knowing the rule and living the rule are two completely different things. This is the part where discipline actually has to show up. When you know you are saving for something bigger, you have to actually say no to the smaller purchase in front of you right now. Not tomorrow, not after this one last treat. Right now. That is the moment where wealth is actually built or destroyed. It happens in these tiny everyday decisions that nobody else ever sees. The coffee you skip, the upgrade you postpone, the sale notification you close without opening. None of these moments feel important on their own, but stacked together over months, they quietly decide whether you end up ahead or behind. And here is the good news. Once you connect every single sacrifice to a clear, bigger goal in your mind, the sacrifice stops feeling like suffering. It starts feeling like progress. And that shift in feeling is honestly the thing that makes this whole system sustainable for years instead of just a few weeks. Keep listening, because next I am going to expose exactly how companies are trained to make you feel like you are missing out on life. And once you see it, you will never scroll the same way again. Here is something you need to hear clearly. A huge amount of spending has nothing to do with what people actually want. It is driven by what they are shown constantly on social media. You scroll and you see someone with the newest phone. You scroll again and you see another person on a luxury trip. You start to feel like everyone around you is living a bigger life than you are. That feeling is not an accident. It is designed by people whose entire job is to study exactly what makes you reach for your wallet without thinking twice. The entire purpose of that constant exposure is to make you feel behind so that you spend money trying to catch up. And here is the trick nobody tells you. The joy from that kind of purchase disappears within days. You feel amazing for a short moment, and then the feeling fades, and you are left chasing the next purchase to feel it again. That cycle is exactly how people stay stuck financially their entire life without ever understanding why, and it is also exactly how people with great incomes still somehow live paycheck to paycheck year after year. If this is hitting close to home, make sure you stay for the final part, because this next mindset shift is the one that actually breaks the cycle for good. Once I understood this trap, everything changed for me. I stopped seeing my savings as things I was giving up. I started seeing them as investments into a future version of myself. When I choose not to buy something small today, it is not because I am depriving myself. It is because I already know exactly what bigger reward that money is building toward. That mental shift removes all the guilt and all the resentment that usually comes with saving money. You stop feeling like you are missing out, and you start feeling like you are building something real. This is the difference between people who save money and feel bitter about it, and people who save money and feel powerful because of it. The goal is never to punish yourself. The goal is to direct your money towards something that actually matters to you long term, instead of something that only feels good for a few days and then quietly disappears from your memory, along with the money you spent on it. Here is the truth that ties this entire video together. Earning money is only half the equation. The other half, and honestly, the harder half, is learning how to keep it and grow it, instead of letting it slip through your fingers the moment it arrives. Delayed gratification is not about being cheap, and it is definitely not about never enjoying your life. It is about being intentional. It is about deciding what actually deserves your money, instead of letting every trend and every notification decide for you. If you start applying even one part of what I shared today, you will notice a difference within the next few weeks. Your money will start staying with you longer. Your decisions will start feeling calmer instead of impulsive. And slowly but surely, you will become the kind of person who does not just make money, but actually keeps it and builds with it. That is the real secret nobody wants to admit. It was never about how much you earn. It has always been about what you choose to do with it once it lands in your hands. And now that you know it, the only thing left standing between you and a completely different financial future is whether you actually apply it starting today, instead of waiting for a better moment that may never come